In my last video, already I have mentioned that various steps are involved in alpha amylase production process. First of all, selection of suitable alpha amylase producing microorganism, either bacteria or fungi. Second step is inoculum preparation, then main fermentation process, following solid state fermentation or submerged fermentation process. Fourth step is purification, then characterization, product packaging and storage, and finally application of alpha amylase in various sectors. In my last video, already I have discussed about selection of suitable alpha amylase producing microorganism, inoculum preparation, and I have started discussion on fermentation process. Today I am going to discuss about the media preparation and process parameter optimization by one factor at a time and statistical optimization method. Kindly stay with me till the end of this video in order to know a lot of new information. Major factors that affect microbial synthesis of alpha amylase by various microorganisms are temperature, pH of the medium, incubation period, inoculum age, aeration, moisture content and bed height of the substrate for solid state fermentation, agitation for submerged fermentation, phosphate concentration, surfactants, presence of metal ions, and additional carbon and nitrogen sources. So these are the various physicochemical parameters. Those are responsible for they can influence the production of alpha amylase either in solid state fermentation process or in submerged fermentation process. So today in this video I am going to focus on this topic. Hello everyone, welcome to my channel Dr. Tapati's presentation. Today topic of the presentation is influence of physicochemical parameters on alpha amylase production, or you can consider it as factors affecting alpha amylase production. Most important of all physical variables affecting fermentation is the control of temperature, because growth and production of enzymes or other metabolites are usually very sensitive to temperature. As most of the fungal sources of alpha amylase are mesophilic in nature, they produce alpha amylase within the temperature range of 25 to 37 degrees Celsius. Like the most useful fungal source, Aspergillus oryzae, is reported to produce maximum alpha amylase in the range of 30 to 37 degrees Celsius, whereas Aspergillus ficum, Saccharomyces clavarii, and Saccharomyces cerevisiae produced alpha amylase at 30 degrees Celsius. It was reported that thermophilic fungus Thermomyces lanuginosus produced alpha amylase at 50 degrees Celsius. If you consider about the bacterial amylases, they have been reported to produce at a much wider range of temperature, like Bacillus stereothermopyres, Bacillus licheniformis, Bacillus aminoleucoefficiens, and Bacillus subtilis. They produced alpha amylase within the range of 37 to 60 degrees Celsius, whereas hyperthermophilic Thermococcus profundus produced alpha amylase at 80 degrees Celsius, whereas psychrophilic bacterium Sivanilla species produced alpha amylase at only 10 degrees Celsius. So you can see that optimum temperature for amylase production is different for different organism. That means optimum temperature varies with organism to organism. pH is also one of the important factors that determine the growth and morphology of microorganisms, as they are sensitive to the concentration of hydrogen ions present in the medium. This table is showing different microorganisms' name and their optimum pH for the maximum alpha amylase production. If you consider the case of different microorganisms, you will find that few microorganisms produce maximum alpha amylase activity at a neutral pH range, whereas few more microorganisms produce maximum alpha amylase at acidic range, and others in the alkaline pH. Enzyme production and enzyme yield are governed by the characteristic of the culture and varies with time of incubation of the culture. Alpha amylase is an important industrial enzyme and it has got immense application in various biotechnological processes. Therefore, development of a process for improved enzyme yield with a reduced incubation period is prerequisite for large-scale production. This table is showing different sources of alpha amylase and their optimum incubation period for the maximum alpha amylase production. From this table, you can see that Aspergillus species showed maximum alpha amylase activity during 3 to 4 days. Whereas if you consider about the Bacillus species, which is bacteria, uh, they showed maximum activity within 48 hours. That means shorter incubation period is required for the bacterial species. But if you consider about fungal sources, they generally produce alpha amylase activity after 3 days. And I have given two other examples, Trichothecium roseum and Rhizoctonia solani. They produced alpha amylase on 8 days, maximum alpha amylase on 8 days and 6 days, that means with long incubation period. Studies were also performed to evaluate the influence of supplementation of substrate with carbon and nitrogen sources. First of all, I am going to talk about the carbon sources. Alpha amylase is an inducible enzyme and is generally induced by the starch, which is the actual substrate for alpha amylase. However, in certain cases, the role of glucose for the production of alpha amylase is controversial. It has been stated that besides acting as a repressor via CRE protein, glucose acts as an inducer. So, in case of alpha amylase production, glucose sometimes plays a role as inducer, sometimes it acts as repressor. In Aspergillus oryzae, alpha amylase production was induced by carbohydrates containing alpha 1,4 glycosidic bonds like maltose, maltodextrin or starch. However, glucose effectively repressed the production process. Glucose was also reported to repress alpha amylase in Aspergillus awamori. Starch as maltose induced the production of alpha amylase in Aspergillus oryzae DSM 63303, whereas glucose did not cause any catabolite repression, rather a minimal level of enzyme was induced in its presence. In case of Aspergillus oryzae IFO 30103, supplementations of wheat bran with different carbon sources showed that in SSF system, the alpha amylase synthesis was increased in presence of soluble potato starch, maltose, fructose, but in presence of 1% dextrose, the catabolite depression was observed. Various experiments were carried out to check the effect of inorganic and organic nitrogen sources on alpha amylase production. Ammonium nitrate, ammonium sulfate, and Vogel salts. These three nitrogen sources showed maximum influence on alpha amylase production from Aspergillus oryzae, Aspergillus nidulans, and Aspergillus oryzae A1560, Aspergillus fumigatus, respectively. Whereas if you consider about the Aspergillus flavus, in that case, constrip liquor and ammonium hydrogen phosphate showed maximum influence on alpha amylase production. Aspergillus oryzae AS3951, in that case, constrip liquor was found to be the most compatible supplements to the substrate of spent brewing grains and was found to increase alpha amylase activity. Ammonium nitrate and urea increased alpha amylase activity from Aspergillus oryzae IFO 30103. In case of Bacillus licheniformis, Bacillus cereus, Bacillus species KR8104, constrip liquor, ammonium sulfate, and ammonium nitrate, these are the three nitrogen sources, showed maximum influence on alpha amylase activity, alpha amylase production, respectively. Let's discuss about the effect of surfactants on alpha amylase production. Detergents increase the cell permeability, hence enzyme secretion increases. In addition to that, the fermentation efficiency or substrate availability increases because they are emulsifying, that means surfactants emulsifying or suspending properties increases the quantity of readily available nutrients from the substrate particles to the microorganisms. Alpha amylase production has been reported to be increased by 2.7 fold in addition of 1.3% between 80 in the Thermomyces lanuginosus, twin 80 at 0.1% and surfactant at 0.013%, significantly increase the production of alpha amylase from Bacillus subtilis ATCC to 1556 in SSF condition. Twin 80 was um, Twin 80 was demonstrated to be favorable surfactant for amyloid enzyme production by an amyloid yeast, Saccharomycopsis fibulagera, whereas PEG 8000 and the ionic detergents like SDS, cholic acid and Twin 80 were more effective in the solubilization of cell membrane components and enhancing alpha amylase yields than the cationic detergents such as cetyl trimethyl ammonium bromide or CTAB in case of Geobacillus thermoleohorans. With the addition of, whereas if you consider about the Aspergillus oryzae IFO 30103, in that case, addition of Triton X100 and Twin 80 increase the alpha amylase production. Triton X100 has a polyethylene glycol side chain which tightens the barrel motif structure of alpha amylase and gives a more compact structure with enhanced activity and stability. As most of the alpha amylases are known to be metalloenzymes, supplementation of metal ions improve the enzyme activity. Calcium ion generally increases and stabilizes the alpha amylase activity, and the supplementation of the culture medium with calcium ion has stimulative effect in most of the bacterial growth and enhanced alpha amylase production. Like calcium chloride increase the production of the enzyme by Aspergillus niger. Calcium chloride and magnesium sulfate increase the alpha amylase production by Aspergillus oryzae in RRL 6270. Cobalt chloride and magnesium sulfate have positive influence on alpha amylase production by Aspergillus oryzae CBS 819.72. MgCl2, MnSO4 and CaCl2 are reported to be improve alpha amylase production by Saccharomycopsis fibulagera. However, calcium chloride at 10 millimolar concentration did not show any significant effect on alpha amylase production from Aspergillus oryzae IFO 30103 in SSF, and calcium chloride was inhibitory to amylase of Aspergillus oryzae E1212. So you can see that different metal ions affected each individual microorganism differently for the alpha amylase production. That means effect of metals is different for different microorganisms. Statistical optimization can improve the yield of the enzyme, find the exact concentration levels of different factors and interactions between these factors. Several statistical experimental designs, including box Benken design, that means BBD, and central composite design, that means CCD, placket Barman design or PBD, and Taguchi experimental designs, etc., have been used in bioprocess optimization of alpha amylase production from different microorganisms. From this table, you can easily understand that uh, optimized growth condition for the maximum alpha amylase production is different for different microorganisms. Thank you very much for watching this video. Kindly like, share and subscribe this channel.